Hello, friends. This is Venkatramana once again, your certified financial planner. And today I have a very special guest who is my esteemed client, Mr. Ajay Antony, the founder and teacher of Physics Chamber. Let me give a small introduction about Mr. Ajay Antony. Mr. Ajay Antony is an MBA from Goa Institute of Management, and he's been a passionate teacher, this master. And in his previous role, he's been vice president of Trent Institute of Management Education, where he has conducted Aqua Regia, the science quiz, which is certified as the world's largest science quiz for school students, which he has done it for more than a decade. And I am privileged to attend some of the sessions and got some various insight. He's a passionate teacher, and he is also into bodybuilding, and where he got some great certificates from Guinness Records on Move the Bar Association. And he is one person where the energy is so contagious that while speaking to him, while attending his show, you will get that. And more importantly, I would also say that he is one of my esteemed client. And without much ado, let me welcome Mr. Ajay sir on the show.
Thank you so much, Venkat. It's my privilege. Before going further, a small clarification because that is required.
Yes.
I do hold
Yes,
a Guinness World Record in my vertical, which is quizzing. But I think you have bestowed one more record on me related to bodybuilding, which I don't have a record in that sense. From the Guinness World Records, that would have been an amazing achievement. I do hold a certification in one of the lower categories, but I think
okay.
that is a very humble achievement. Let's move on.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Today, as you know, sir, we are into the world of finance, and you've been my client for the last 10 years. So I would like to have this as an interactive session so that some of my clients will also get benefited.
Absolutely.
So I would like to ask you the first question. What is the single most attribute which is required from an investor?
All right. Now, I wish I had been taught this thoroughly and very securely some 25 years, 30 years back. I would say, although it is not that I did not know, but then there are so many things that you know, but then you don't practice because you are unaware of the power of the long term. I would very clearly say, as an investor, you really need to look at the power of long term along the way. Because of my general reading and research, etc., I've come across very powerful, concepts and tools. One of those is the concept of the length of the runway concept, which I have encountered at multiple platforms. I've heard very highly successful investors talk about it, and it is all about if you got to fly a big aircraft, it is important that you need to build up the momentum sufficiently long enough by taking a very long runway, or run along a very long runway. So the momentum, which is in fact, from my physics teaching, my students, they all know this answer to this question: what is the most important word in physics that I like? It is momentum. Momentum is equally important in investing, I would say. You need to start very early and then
Yeah.
keep doing it for a very long time, and that is when the results really show.
Exactly. The power of compounding explained in the best possible ways. Yes, sir. And during this journey, can you share your experience in the last 10 years as a mutual fund investor and as an advisor, and our relationship also?
Oh, definitely. I like you mentioned, Venkat, I do hold a post graduation in management, which means that formally I have been taught investment principles, and I've been introduced to the world of finance. I have been taught working capital management, project management, etc., formally, and I have had the opportunity to work with some very big companies also. Now, when it comes to personal investing, see, one mistake I think many people do is thinking that they can do it themselves. Now, it is like saying, "Arey, I've studied the manuals, I know the rules, so I might as well do it myself." While there is nothing wrong with that, in that sense, investing is not rocket science. But then it does not hurt you if you get a rocket scientist to help you also, because it is a very specific area. And uh, once I am of the firm belief that every individual should focus solely on what he or she does the best. In my case, I am a teacher. The best thing for me would be to be the best teacher in the world. I mean, if I try to be the best teacher and the best investor, it's not going to work out. And that's the
Yeah.
reason why, when we first met, I think about 11
Yeah.
years back,
Yes.
the vibe was pretty good. I was at that point in time uh, very clearly looking for somebody to uh, hold me through the way of systematic and regular investments, somebody who I could get a feel of trust, somebody who I could get the feel that would not advise me incorrectly, somebody who would look at my long term requirements and then take me through, also explain to me the logic of these investment models wherever required. So there were a lot of professionals who had approached me, including individuals and companies, etc. And definitely you are not the first uh, you
Yeah.
know uh, uh, advisor who I have worked with. I have
Correct.
worked with much
Correct.
bigger organizations also who have handled my
Yeah.
wealth. Nothing wrong with that, but then the approach has been very different, and it has been consultative in your case, and you have explained things to me. And then the the uh, customer service angle has also been very fast and prompt. So those are the
Great.
things I think has prompted me also to stay on. And this is the longest that I've stayed with um, any investment platform or
Oh,
advisor. So
wonderful.
this has been a good journey, and I really look forward to this going for several decades moving further. Touchwood.
Definitely, sir. I also have I believe in the concept of client for life, and very privileged to have you as my client for the years and coming decades to follow also. And
Definitely.
sir, I also wanted to understand most of the investors have a misconception that a mutual fund is always for market rigged as equity, but you as an investor has invested for short term, medium term, as well as for long term. So, can you throw some information for the benefit of the audience how mutual funds can help you for short term goals, also medium term as well as for long term?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you do have investable surplus, but then now that is a very dicey definition. This is what I tell my students also, but although they will start earning only a little later in life. But whoever I can educate, for example, youngsters in my family, my nephews, nieces, etc., who have started working, I've always told them, you need to invest immediately. Your first salary onwards, a small percentage has to go to investment. And that is something that uh, in fact, many or the most youngsters are just unable to digest. In fact, just to give a small example, just the other day, I was sitting with a very close relative of mine and reviewing the total amount that person had made in the last 1.5 years. Now, let me not put
Mhm.
a number value because that might be too
Yes.
specific, but it is not small. It is a very, very good amount for a 25-year-old person who has actually earned X amount of money in the last, let us say, 18 months. And I ask, so out of this, what have you invested, or how much do you have to show for as a long term investment? Unfortunately, the answer was zero. Zero. And when I said, but that's not acceptable, then the
Yeah.
person said, but then I bought this, I have this, I did that. I said, all that is fine. But then don't you think, with the amount of money that you have made in the last 18 months, and let me assure you, it was not less than 10 lakhs. It was not less than 10 lakhs, which is a substantial amount.
Substantial amount.
Now,
Yes.
I said, don't you think you could have saved somewhere around 80,000 to 1 lakh rupees at least from this amount.
Yeah.
uh, I said, you just take a second and then think. 8 to 10 percentage of the total money that you have earned, don't you think that you could
Yeah.
have saved by, let us say, not doing some of those things? So the person did take a little time and said, yes, I could have. I said, that's the way to look at it. Today's youth, unfortunately, they look at I mean, pretty much the
The
case with us
instant
also.
gratification thing, all these
Instant
Swiggy apps and
gratification,
other
yes,
things. Yeah.
absolutely. So I mean, you can't really completely focus the blame, because when I was young at that time, probably I was exactly the same. Which is
Yeah.
why I'm very clear that if somebody had really drilled in this concept, I probably could have been a dollar millionaire somewhere along the way. Now, I am very sure
True.
about that. Now,
Yes.
of course, with correct investment advice also. Now,
Yeah.
this I always tell the youngsters who get into the first job. I have a thumb rule which I tell, because I interact with a lot of students and parents.
Students.
Mostly
Yes.
they are people who have not yet started earning, but then in the context, their elder brothers are there. Somebody in the family has suddenly started working from having got a placement from college, etc. So my fundamental thumb rule now, having understood this, is that you earn X amount. Initially, the first month onwards, you put aside 10 percentage. For example, let your
Yeah.
salary be 10,000 rupees. Absolutely fine. Put aside 1,000 rupees, which is 10 percentage of 10,000. Keep it aside, and then with the remaining 9,000, only do whatever you want to do. And let that be a thumb rule that you follow for some time. And then when your salary increase, slightly increase the percentage of
Increase.
setting aside. And then you take the advice of somebody good. Don't do it
Yeah.
yourself. And I have been very clear. Again, I would like to caution young viewers who are listening to this. Today there are a lot of avenues where you can just pick up the phone and then do the asset allocation and then buy and sell. And the thrill of buy and sell is something which is very addictive. It is
True.
in fact, one of in one of these platforms, uh, I think I heard that being mentioned equivalent to a dopamine addiction, or something similar to the high that you get when you take a addictive substance. Because for a youngster who is investing, let us say, a block of 5,000 rupees into a stock market instrument on the first of the month, and then taking home, let us say, a profit of 2,000 rupees at the end of the month, that is a big
Yeah.
high. And the problem with that is that profit that you have got, if you ask yourself, you have zero, I repeat, you have zero value addition to that profit. It
Yeah.
is a pure chance game. And
Gambling. Yeah.
this is something which one person who has traveled the world well taught me, or told me very clearly, because I've had the opportunity to visit a few gambling casinos when I had traveled. And
Yeah.
I first went back and told him that I won this much of amount. He said, now this is dangerous.
Yeah.
He said, I would rather say that you lost this amount, because the person who wins first in gambling is a sure shot candidate for losing big time money. And therefore, he put
Yeah.
a lot of sense into me, saying that never ever gamble, because
Correct.
gambling can be very addictive, because it is pure chance. Stock market
Yes.
investments, wherein you put a certain amount of money and reap a good, let us say, 20%, 30% gain at the end of the month, is 110% gambling. And
True.
I can tell you from my own experience of interacting with my friends, none of my friends who have done short term have in the net made money.
Yeah, exactly.
Never.
Bang on. Because people only highlight the profit, not the loss. And also, we are living in this crypto world, which is highly unregulated, also. Yeah.
Crypto, I have not looked at, because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I
True.
Something that don't understand. I mean, again,
Should not be,
because I've been,
it is
I,
highly unregulated, also. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, uh, I have been influenced by some good thought leaders in this. and one of those gentlemen is a disciple of a very very famous or the world famous investor, and he has told me that uh, the the greatest person has a philosophy that if I don't understand, I don't touch it.
Yes.
So I have also generally copied that principle, saying that if I don't
Wonderful.
understand
Yeah.
investment, I don't touch
True.
it. Maybe it is big, but it's not for me.
Correct. Fair enough, sir. And being a teacher, I would like to have this question. Do you feel that financial education should be done at the school level because that is what is missing out in India
There
compared
are
to the
two
West and
things.
other places?
Yes, I have very very strong views on this. There are two things that I would like to say here. There are two things that I would feel that is really missing from our formal education system in India, which if I were a policymaker or if I could really be on a panel which sort of strongly suggests policy decisions, these are the two angles which I would suggest. One is uh, the first priority is not finance, that in my ranking at least. See, we learn a lot of things. I'm a science teacher, I'm a physics teacher, I've been
Yeah.
teaching for 25 years, and that is being taught well in schools. A lot of power to our
Yes.
teachers. Now, the thing that is being missing is legal education. We learn about the constitution, but the youngsters do not know as much about the Indian legal system or the simple tenets of the law uh, as much as they do about science, about physics,
Yeah.
chemistry, or math. But this has had a different take on when I discussed it with very highly influential people in some informal forums. They said that it is not by accident. In fact, it has been done by design, because if everybody gets to know everything about the law, everybody would become an activist, and then it will be pretty unmanageable for the government to rule. Maybe their wisdom is better, but I think a little more of a legal education. The law should be taught in school. What is right? The Indian Penal Code, the basics
Yeah.
of the Indian Penal Code, I would say. Then comes the second priority, according to me, is on finances. Definitely, we are taught. Let us say, if you look at the concepts of simple interest and compound interest, which is being
Yeah.
taught in school, let us say from 8th standard onwards,
Yeah.
every student knows how to calculate a simple interest and a compound interest. But see, I have been teaching students for higher level competitive examinations, including the CAT examination, which is the MBA entrance
Yes.
examination for the IIMs. And this is one of my favorite questions when I teach math for those students. In fact, I started my teaching career long time, but 20 years plus. Not started.
Yes.
At that point in time, I used to engage classes for postgraduate students also, for students who are preparing for the CAT exam. This was one of my favorite questions. One of your investments would earn 10% simple interest. Another earn 10% compound interest. What is the difference between this at the end of 3 years? They will give me the fractional value, because that will be 10.1 to the power of 3.
Mhm.
That will be
Yeah.
a small increment over 30%. 30% will be simple interest. The other will give me a slightly more value. And then I ask them, is that value difference big or small? Now, 90% of the students say that there's a small difference. Now, I said, that is the problem. That difference is what runs the world. If you don't
Yes.
understand that a tiny difference of incremental value that you get in compound interest, it is the huge difference of compound interest that runs the world. Unfortunately, students understand the math, but they don't understand the practical relevance.
Exactly, sir. Very well put. Very well put. Wonderful, sir. So I am done with the questions. I would like to know you. Do you have any questions for me? As
Oh
we,
yeah, yeah. Questions in the sense, my thoughts are always like this. Is there
yes,
any investor I know that financial institutions do investor education programs. In fact,
yes,
I have been part of uh, a few of these. I would like to just. Do we have time? 5 minutes?
yeah.
All
Wonderful.
right.
Very much, sir. Very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. In which case, and I would like, because the teacher in me takes over sometimes. I talk a bit too long, but
Hmm.
there is an interesting quip that I would like to share. This actually happened about 20 years back, and let me not name the entity. one of the
Okay.
most visible financial powerhouses in India.
Mhm.
Because I was a client or associated with them at that. I also got invited to a investor relations seminar at the end at
Oh,
one city in the country, and
okay.
there was this person in big coat suit and formal attire and all, who made this presentation, a very detailed PowerPoint presentation, going on charts and tables and things like that. And there were about 100 people in the auditorium, I think, and there
Mm.
were I think there were, dinner, etc., to follow.
Yeah.
So the person finished his presentation very enthusiastically, and then said, "Now I can. Do you have any questions?" So sometime let me take a check, and then everybody kept quiet. And then the very old gentleman at the second row raised his hand, and then the presenter immediately said, "Yes, sir. Can we have the question from the gentleman?" Then he said, "How many more slides do you have to finish this?" That is the question he asked. No other question related to investment. Now, why I bring this up is these kind of educational initiatives are being given to people who are either already into it, or people who
Mm.
think that they know everything about this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't see any of these thingies actually being catered to students, again, school segment,
Mm.
college segment. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, this is what I would like to ask you: whether are there initiatives getting done by corporates or financial institutions
Yeah,
where?
here I would like to tell you, sir, there is an investor education and protection fund where each company has to give some 0.1% or 0.2% of their corpus dedicated to this to benefit the society in large. That means a certified financial planners like me can conduct a session where the product is not being told, it is only the concepts: what is equity, what is debt, what is power of compounding, why you need to invest, why you need to invest to beat inflation. So all this macro is been put it in a very layman's language to make them understand the importance of investment, and this is being done across India, and this was done in association with the NSE, the National Stock Exchange, in association with SEBI, with other mutual funds also. And I also conducted one of the session in association with ICC Pro MF in one of the
Oh,
hotels
all
in
right.
that. And
Oh,
this in the COVID period, actually we keep doing this in Zoom sessions. But as you rightly pointed out, most of them are all either investors or who are going to become investors, but not the
hmm.
students. Maybe I will
I
take this point and
I
see
would
how we can engage them.
Uh, I I would always strongly suggest a student segment, because the, these things really take a long time to really settle into the minds of the people that this is required. So if you
Correct.
can actually get the student the firm belief that yes, the power of compounding is something that really will work, and so therefore out of my pocket money of 100 rupees also, can I set aside 10 rupees and then
Yeah.
keep it aside as an investment kind of a concept, then
Correct.
that student is definitely going to be a dollar millionaire, I
Yeah.
can tell you that.
Yeah. True. True. And see, and in India, the one more thing is that we have to plan our own retirement. We have to plan our own because we don't have a social security.
Yes.
So the previous generation also had the central government and state government where the pension is there for life. Whereas now for the young generation, where their working span is also coming lower, but they will also keep living longer. So you
Yes.
need to bridge the gap, and it is very important that they plan for a retirement corpus, and
Yes.
that need has to be fulfilled, as you rightly pointed out. When they start from their first salary, I think they can retire peacefully, and they can even retire at the age of 50 and plan their hobbies and their passion. Great interacting with you, and I also wanted to want you to talk about that supernova quiz which you conduct digitally across the world for all school students, so that one some of because since you are based out of Cochin, it
Yes.
is the interaction levels at Chennai has come down. So I would like to know how they can get benefited and understand physics in a much better way.
Yeah, see, this is COVID time has been extremely challenging for all
Yeah.
of us. I'm sure with for
Mm.
every profession.
Yes.
One thing that we decided that we will do is that we will need to quickly move and adapt immediately. So when COVID hit, I mean, see, like I said, I've been teaching for 25 years, but I had never taught a full course fully online before COVID. I think that was the case with pretty much any teacher in the world, I
Yeah.
would say. Of
Correct.
course, small modules online would be done, but then the entire the hardware requirement, the software, the cloud, the backup of the classes, the additional modules, the interaction, it was a big challenge. But thanks to our support system and the professional support that I had from my back end, etc., uh, we could immediately put systems in place, and then we started conducting classes online immediately. And classes went on, and Supernova, the science quiz, was an idea which was always uh, uh, in the thought process because of my own association with the quizzing. I've been a professional quiz master for 20
Yeah.
plus years, and during the COVID time, when it was difficult to conduct a real time in person quiz, we thought about an event where we would use the power of the technology and then bring in students from across the world, because once you go online, the world can be
Yeah.
your audience. So we
Correct.
partnered with Rotary Cochin International, then the Rotary organization, and this year we also partnered with the Wonderla theme parks, and then conducted Supernova, the science quiz, which we have positioned it as an inter-school science quiz, but on an individual basis, because students will be participating from their respective residences,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
students from anywhere in the world could compete. Our first edition, we had more than 400 participants from across the world. And our second edition just got completed a few weeks back, and then we had I think the first place was won by a student from Dubai. So we had
And then
participants from
others from
various,
Cochin. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people from Cochin we obviously will,
Yeah.
because a lot of people
Yeah.
know us. But otherwise, we had students from several cities across India, because the good thing about that is if students and parents see something that they like, they will share,
Yeah.
and they will have their
Yes.
friends across the country. And then we had participants from Delhi, Gurgaon, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all the way down south, Trivandrum, Mumbai, etc. And we had a good contest.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
the learning doesn't stop. Just the platform
Correct.
shifts to online. So right
Yes.
now
Yes.
we do physical classroom teaching and also online teaching also.
Hybrid model. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful, sir. So it's great interacting with you, and we will continue to travel together and make you financially independent and keep your quiz level passion to spread across the globe. Get it
Thank you
from
so
this.
much, Venkat, and thanks for the invite. It was always a pleasure talking to you, because you are also, I mean, one reason I think our association has really lasted this long, and hopefully will continue for a very, very long time, is very clearly, I know that I'm a person with high energy levels. You have also been a person who reciprocates that with similar high energy levels, and I think that is important.
Thank you.
When you throw a ball, if I may talk physics, if I throw a ball at a hard wall, that ball will have to bounce back with that same force. Only then there is any fun in it. So that's the reason why I think our association has continued, and I've always enjoyed our association on the quizzing platform and on the investment platform. Thank you so much, and pleasure to be here.